Dr. Nathan Cole hunched over his desk, eyes fixed on the strange symbols flickering across his screen. The dim light of his office at the Global Xenoarchaeology Institute cast long shadows across stacks of old research papers and coffee-stained mugs. For 3 years he had been studying the transmissions captured by the Deep Space Array, and today, something had changed. "I think I found something," he whispered to himself, adjusting his glasses. The translation algorithm he had developed was finally making sense of the alien language. Words began to form, then sentences, then stories. Stories about Earth, stories about humans. He reached for his communication pad and dialed quickly. "Olivia, you need to see this. Now." Dr. Olivia Martinez arrived 20 minutes later, her dark hair pulled back in a messy bun, eyes alert despite the late hour. "This better be good, Nathan. I was in the middle of dinner." Nathan didn't look up from his screen. "The Vraxian transmissions we intercepted near Alpha Centauri. They're not technical data or navigation charts." He paused, looking up at her, with wide eyes. "They're stories. Bedtime stories for alien children." Olivia pulled a chair beside him. "Bedtime stories? About us. About humans." Nathan scrolled through the translated text. "Listen to this. Sleep now, little ones. For the blue world is far away. The silent predators cannot reach you here. The relentless hunters who never tire, who pursue until their prey can run no more." Olivia's face paled as she read more of the text. They're describing humans as monsters. "Not just monsters," Nathan said, pointing to another section. "Nightmares. Creatures that alien parents use to frighten their children into behaving." The translation continued. "The creatures of Earth do not know pain as we do. They break, they bleed, yet still they come. Their world tried to kill them daily, so they learn to kill back. Be thankful for the great barrier that keeps them in their quarantine." Over the next few days, Nathan and Olivia worked tirelessly, translating more of the Vraxian transmissions. They brought their findings to the Institute director, Dr. Frank Miller, a stern man with a military background who now led Earth's xenoarchaeology efforts. "You're telling me," Dr. Miller said, leaning back in his chair, "that somewhere out there, aliens are telling scary stories about humans?" "Not just any aliens," Olivia explained. "The Vraxians appear to be part of a vast interstellar community. Their civilization is at least 2,000 years more advanced than ours." Nathan spread printouts across Miller's desk. "According to these transmissions, Earth has been deliberately isolated. They call it a quarantine zone. They've been keeping us contained." Miller picked up one of the papers. "For how long?" "Centuries at least," Nathan replied. "But here's the thing. These transmissions are old. The newest ones we've decoded are from 30 Earth years ago." Olivia added, "The quarantine might not be as effective as it once was. Our recent deep space probes, the quantum communication network we've established, we might be pushing against their barriers without even knowing it." Miller's face grew serious. "I need to make some calls. This goes beyond archaeology." Within hours, the Institute was swarming with government officials. Nathan and Olivia were whisked to a secure facility beneath Washington, D.C., where they presented their findings to the United Earth Defense Council. The stories contain references to human physiology that are surprisingly accurate, Olivia explained to the room of stone-faced officials. "They describe our endurance, our ability to persist through injury, our adaptability." "They're afraid of us," Nathan added. "These aren't just tales meant to scare children. They're warnings, passed down through generations." Admiral Patricia Winters, head of the Defense Council, spoke for the first time. "Dr. Cole, in your expert opinion, have these aliens, these Vraxians, ever visited Earth?" Nathan glanced at his notes. "The stories contain details that suggest direct observation. Yes, there are references to human hunters tracking prey for days, to our ability to survive in extreme environments. They call us the creatures who sweat their heat away and keep moving when others would fall." A murmur ran through the room. Olivia continued. The most recent transmissions show a growing concern. They mention stirrings in the quarantine zone and signals leaking through the barrier. They've been watching us, a general stated flatly. And containing us, Nathan corrected. Though I don't think they've been back to Earth in a very long time. The stories have a mythological quality to them, like they've been embellished over generations. Admiral Winters stood up. I've just received word from our deep space monitoring station near Pluto. A vessel of unknown origin has been detected at the edge of our solar system. The room fell silent. It's transmitting a message, she continued, on all frequencies in multiple Earth languages. Nathan's heart raced. What does it say? Admiral Winters looked directly at him. It says, breach detected, quarantine compromised. The nightmare creatures are loose. Just then an aide rushed into the room and whispered something to Admiral Winters. Her face hardened. The Pathfinder has gone missing, she announced to the room. The deep space exploration vessel? Olivia asked. The one that was testing the new faster-than-light drive? Admiral Winters nodded. It disappeared during its test run near the Kuiper Belt. Last transmission indicated they were encountering some kind of energy field. Nathan and Olivia exchanged glances. The quarantine barrier, they said in unison. We need to establish contact with the alien vessel, Nathan urged. If they've been containing us all this time, there must be a reason. Or maybe they've just been afraid of us, Olivia suggested. Afraid of what we might become if we joined the wider galactic community. Nathan looked back at the translated stories on his tablet. The words seemed to glow ominously in the dim room. The nightmare creatures of Earth do not know they are monsters. That is what makes them most dangerous of all. They believe themselves to be the heroes of their story. Admiral Winters closed the session with a grim announcement. As of this moment, Earth is on high alert. The quarantine has been breached, either by us or by them. Either way, the bedtime stories are over. The nightmare has begun. Captain Ethan Wright knew something had gone wrong the moment the Pathfinder emerged from the experimental, faster-than-light jump. The stars looked different, and the ship's navigation system couldn't match them to any known patterns. A shimmering curtain of energy had appeared just as they activated the drive, and now they were somewhere else. Status report, he ordered, maintaining a calm voice despite the worry growing in his chest. Engine output at 60% and holding, replied First Officer Kate Simmons from her station. Whatever we hit during the jump damaged the primary. Power couplings. Daniel Garcia, the ship's xenobiologist, was staring intently at his sensor readings. Captain, I'm detecting artificial signals, lots of them. We're not alone out here. Lisa Bennett, head of security, automatically checked her sidearm. Hostile? Unknown, Daniel replied. But they're organized in a way that suggests a traffic pattern. Ethan leaned forward in his command chair. A traffic pattern? You mean like a shipping lane? Exactly like that, Daniel confirmed. We may have stumbled into someone's busy neighborhood. The Pathfinder was humanity's most advanced exploration vessel, but right now it felt small and vulnerable. Ethan made a quick decision. All stop. Power down non-essential systems. Let's not announce ourselves until we know what we're dealing with. The bridge crew worked quickly, dimming lights and reducing the ship's energy signature. They drifted silently, monitoring the signals around them. Something's approaching, Kate announced suddenly. Large vessel, changing course to intercept us. On the main view screen, a massive ship appeared, at least 10 times the size of the Pathfinder. Its design was alien, all smooth curves and gleaming surfaces that seemed to shift color as it moved. They've spotted us, Lisa said, tensing up. Open a channel, Ethan ordered. Standard greeting protocol. Before they could transmit, the alien vessel fired a beam of light that enveloped the Pathfinder. It wasn't a weapon. At least it didn't damage the ship, but their systems began to flicker. They're scanning us, Daniel explained, examining his readings. Incredibly detailed. They're mapping every molecule of the ship. The scan ended, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then a transmission came through, a jumble of sounds and symbols that made no sense. Computer can't translate, Kate reported. Daniel adjusted some settings. Wait, there's a pattern. It's cycling through different formats, looking for one we might understand. Eventually, the alien transmission settled on a simplified form of binary code that their computer could process. A message appeared on their screens. Identify species and origin. Ethan nodded to Kate. Send the standard first contact package. Basic human biology, solar system coordinates, peaceful intentions. As soon as they transmitted the information, the alien vessel's behavior changed dramatically. It backed away rapidly and began emitting intense energy signatures. "They're powering weapons," Lisa shouted. "Evasive maneuvers." Ethan ordered as the first shot streaked past them, missing by mere meters. The Pathfinder lurched into motion, its damaged engines protesting as Kate pushed them hard. Another shot grazed their hull, sending sparks flying from a nearby console. "Why are they attacking?" Daniel yelled over the noise of alarms. Lisa was already at the tactical station. Returning fire, minimal yield, just enough to create a distraction. Their small defensive pulse hit the alien ship, but seemed to do little damage. The alien vessel fired again, this time hitting the Pathfinder's starboard side. The lights flickered and everyone grabbed onto something to stay upright. "Engine room reports the FTL drive is offline," Kate announced grimly. "We can't jump away." Ethan thought quickly. "What about that asteroid field we passed? Can we reach it?" Kate nodded. "We might make it, but they'll follow us in." "That's what I'm counting on," Ethan replied. "Their ship is much larger. They'll have a harder time maneuvering." The Pathfinder shot toward the asteroid field, weaving between massive space rocks. The alien vessel followed, still firing but more cautiously now. "They're transmitting again," Daniel called out. He listened to his earpiece, his face growing pale. "Captain, I think I'm getting some of it now. They keep repeating one phrase. Nightmare creatures." Ethan and Lisa exchanged a glance. "Nightmare creatures?" Daniel continued translating. "They're calling us the Forbidden Ones, and hunters from the quarantine zone. They seem terrified of us." "Terrified? We're the ones running for our lives," Lisa said incredulously. As they pushed deeper into the asteroid field, Ethan had an idea. "Lisa, target the largest asteroid ahead of us. Full yield on our main pulse cannon." Lisa looked confused but followed the order. The Pathfinder's weapon fired at the massive rock, breaking off chunks that created a chain reaction of collisions. Soon, a cloud of debris was forming behind them. "Cut engines and rotate the ship," Ethan ordered. "Power down everything except life support and sensors." The Pathfinder went dark, drifting among the asteroids and debris. The alien vessel slowed, clearly confused by their disappearance. "They can't see us in all this," Kate whispered, as if the aliens might hear them. For tense minutes they watched as the alien ship cautiously searched the asteroid field. Finally, after failing to locate them, it retreated to a safe distance and appeared to call for reinforcements. "We need to get out of here before more arrive," Ethan said. "Engineering, what's the status on the FTL drive?" "We can manage one jump," came the reply from below decks, "but we can't control where we end up." "Better than staying here," Ethan decided. "Prepare for emergency jump as soon as we clear the asteroids." As they drifted out of the debris field, on minimal power, Daniel continued monitoring alien communications. "Captain, I'm learning more from their transmissions. They call themselves Vraxians and they're discussing us like we're some kind of legendary monster that's supposed to be extinct or contained." "Contained?" Lisa asked. "They're saying humans were quarantined long ago because we're too dangerous to be allowed into space," Daniel explained. "They sound genuinely shocked that we're here." The Pathfinder slipped away from the asteroid field. In the distance, several more alien vessels were approaching. "Jump ready," Kate announced. Ethan took one last look at the alien ships. "Whatever stories they've been telling about humans, we need to get home and warn Earth. Jump now." The stars blurred as the damaged FTL drive engaged. The Pathfinder vanished from Vraxian space, leaving behind only fear and confusion, and the first confirmation that humanity's nightmarish reputation among the stars was very real. 3 weeks had passed since the Pathfinder's emergency return to Earth. In that time, 4 human outposts on the edge of the solar system had been attacked by Vraxian scout ships. The attacks were probing, cautious, as if testing human defenses, rather than attempting to destroy them outright. Admiral Patricia Winters stood before the large window in her office, watching shuttles move between Earth and the orbital defense platforms that now surrounded the planet like a metal necklace. The United Earth Defense Council had worked quickly after Captain Wright's report, but Winters worried it might not be enough. "They're afraid of us," she said to the room behind her. "So afraid that they attack instead of talk." General Allen Thompson, a broad-shouldered man with gray hair cut close to his scalp, nodded from his seat at the conference table. "Fear makes for a dangerous enemy. They think they know what we're capable of. Then perhaps we should show them." Winters turned, back to face the room. Around the table sat Captain Wright, Dr. Cole, Dr. Martinez, and several military leaders. "The Vraxian Empire spans at least 27 star systems," Dr. Martinez explained, pointing to a holographic map hovering above the table. "Their technology is far more advanced than ours, but they're spreading their forces thin trying to contain us." Dr. Cole added, "They've been telling stories about humans for generations, painting us as unstoppable predators. It's become part of their culture. We can use that," General Thompson said, leaning forward. "If they expect monsters, let's give them monsters." Captain Wright frowned. "With all due respect, sir, escalating this conflict could lead to full-scale war. The Pathfinder barely escaped their patrol ship. I can't imagine what their actual warships could do." Admiral Winters raised her hand to quiet the discussion. "The Pathfinder has been repaired, correct?" "Yes, ma'am," Captain Wright replied. "The FTL drive is stable now and we've reinforced the hull." "Good," Winters said, "because I'm sending you back out there. Not to fight, but to learn." Dr. Cole looked up, surprised. "You want the Pathfinder to spy on the Vraxians?" "I want intelligence," Winters clarified. "Their fleet movements, yes, but more importantly, I want to understand why they fear us so much. There's a missing piece to this puzzle." Later that day, Captain Wright met with his crew to brief them on their new mission. Lisa Bennett, his security chief, had serious concerns. "We barely got away last time," she said. "Now they know what our ships look like." Daniel Garcia, the xenobiologist, had been working with Dr. Cole and Dr. Martinez. "We've learned more about their communication systems. We should be able to monitor their transmissions without being detected." "And we have these," said Kate Simmons, holding up a small device. "Cloaking technology based on what we learned from their scanning beam. It won't make us invisible, but it might confuse their sensors enough to get us close." 3 days later, the Pathfinder slipped silently through the energy barrier that marked the edge of Vraxian space. Their mission was clear: gather information and return without engaging the enemy. For the first week, they shadowed Vraxian patrol ships from a safe distance, recording their movements and communications. They discovered that the Vraxian Empire was indeed vast, but it was also divided. Not all Vraxians supported the attacks on human outposts. "Their emperor is using us to unite his people," Daniel explained as he translated more intercepted messages. "The human threat is a convenient enemy to rally against." On the 10th day of their mission, they detected a massive data transmission from a small moon orbiting a gas giant. The facility appeared to be some kind of archive or library. "That's where we'll find our answers," Captain Wright decided. Using their cloaking technology, they landed the Pathfinder on the far side of the moon and sent a small team to infiltrate the archive facility. Lisa Bennett led the group, moving silently through the alien structure while Daniel worked to access their information systems. What they discovered shocked them all. "It's us," Daniel whispered as he downloaded files from the Vraxian database. Their oldest records, going back thousands of years. "They visited Earth during our early evolution." Lisa looked over his shoulder at the alien images. Crude drawings that clearly showed early humans hunting and killing Vraxian explorers who had landed in prehistoric Africa. "We hunted them," she said quietly. "Before we even had civilization, we hunted them." Daniel nodded grimly. According to these records, they lost an entire exploration team to primitive human hunters who tracked them for days without stopping. The Vraxians couldn't understand how creatures so technologically primitive could be so relentless. So they quarantined us, Lisa realized. They put a barrier around our solar system and left us alone. And told stories about us to their children, Daniel added, the nightmare creatures who never stop coming. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Admiral Winters had authorized Operation Phantom, a series of tactics designed to play into Vraxian fears. Human ships would appear at the edge of their territory, then vanish before the Vraxians could respond. They left behind cryptic messages translated into the Vraxian language. "We remember you," and "The hunt continues." Dr. Cole objected strongly when he learned of the operation. "This is exactly the wrong approach. We're confirming their worst fears about us." Admiral Winters remained firm. "Sometimes the best defense is to embrace what your enemy fears most about you. We don't have the technology to win a direct conflict, so we use psychology instead." As psychological warfare continued, the Vraxian attacks grew more desperate and scattered. Their ships would fire at shadows, jumping at any sign of human presence. Earth forces began to win small skirmishes despite being outgunned, using the Vraxians' fear against them. Back on the moon base, Lisa and Daniel had gathered all the information they could and were preparing to leave when alarms suddenly blared. Throughout the facility, they had been discovered. "We need to move now," Lisa ordered, leading her team back toward their shuttle. Vraxian security forces closed in from all sides, firing weapons that left scorch marks on the walls. Lisa's team reached the shuttle just as Vraxian reinforcements arrived. As they lifted off, a lucky shot damaged their engine. The shuttle spun, out of control, crashing back onto the moon's surface several kilometers from the archive facility. "Captain Wright," Lisa called over the emergency channel. "We're down but alive. We have the data, but we need extraction." The Pathfinder couldn't land without being detected now that the Vraxians were on high alert. Captain Wright faced an impossible choice: abandon his people or risk the entire mission and possibly escalate the conflict even further. "Hold position and stay hidden," he finally ordered. "We'll find a way to get you out." As night fell on the alien moon, Lisa and her team huddled in the crashed shuttle, surrounded by Vraxian search parties. They were the nightmare creatures from alien bedtime stories, and now they were being hunted themselves. Lisa Bennett crawled through the underbrush of the alien moon, her breath forming small clouds in the cold air. Behind her, Daniel Garcia and the two other surviving members of her team followed silently. The crashed shuttle was now 3 miles behind them, surrounded by Vraxian search parties. "They're using thermal scanners," Lisa whispered, checking a small device on her wrist. "Our suits can mask our heat signatures for another 6 hours before the batteries die." Daniel nodded, clutching the data drive containing everything they had stolen from the Vraxian archive. "We need to find somewhere to hide until the captain can extract us." They moved carefully through the strange blue vegetation that covered this part of the moon. The gravity was lighter than Earth's, making each step feel bouncy and unstable. In the purple sky above, the massive gas giant the moon orbited took up nearly a quarter of the view, its swirling storms visible even from this distance. After an hour of careful movement, they came upon a series of cave entrances cut into a hillside. Lisa held up her hand, signaling the team to stop. "Could be natural, could be artificial," she said quietly. "Either way, it might shield us from their scanners." They approached the nearest cave cautiously. Lisa went first, weapon drawn. The cave extended deep into the hillside, far enough that her flashlight couldn't reach the end. The walls were too smooth, too regular to be natural. "Someone made these," Daniel observed, running his hand along one wall. "But they seem abandoned." They ventured deeper into the cave system, eventually finding a large chamber with strange markings covering the walls. Daniel examined them closely, his eyes widening. "This is incredible," he whispered. "These are ancient Vraxian symbols, much older than the language they use now. This place must be thousands of years old." "Can you read any of it?" Lisa asked. Daniel nodded slowly. "Some. It's a record of some kind. It mentions Earth and humans." He continued studying the symbols, moving around the chamber. This is a research outpost from before the quarantine was established. Suddenly, they heard movement from deeper in the caves. Everyone froze, weapons ready. From the shadows emerged a tall, slender figure with pale blue skin and large, dark eyes. A Vraxian, but different from the soldiers who had been chasing them. This one wore simple clothing without military insignia. "You are the Earth creatures," the Vraxian said in heavily accented but understandable English. "The nightmares who have returned." Lisa kept her weapon trained on the alien. "Who are you? How do you know our language?" "I am Keltar," the Vraxian replied. "I study your transmissions, your television, your internet. Many of us do, in secret. The Emperor forbids it, but we are curious." Daniel stepped forward cautiously. "You're not afraid of us?" Keltar made a gesture that might have been a shrug. "I know the old stories, but I also know they are just stories, grown from seeds of truth, but watered by fear for generations." The alien gestured toward the passages behind it. "Come. More. Soldiers will search here soon." Against Lisa's better judgment, they followed Keltar deeper into the cave system. Eventually, they reached another large chamber where several more Vraxians were gathered around various pieces of equipment. "My research team," Keltar explained. "We are what you might call dissidents. We question the Emperor's policies." One of the other Vraxians approached, studying the humans with obvious fascination. "You are much smaller than the stories say," it commented. Lisa lowered her weapon slightly. "Why are you helping us?" "Because the Emperor uses fear of humans to control our people," Keltar explained. "Since your ships were detected, he has declared martial law, expanded military authority, silenced opposition. The human threat serves his political purposes well." Daniel showed Keltar the data drive. "We found records in your archive about early Vraxian contact with Earth." Keltar nodded. "Yes. Long ago we visited your world. Your ancestors were primitive but fierce. They hunted our explorers. It was traumatic for our species. We avoid conflict when possible. We prefer harmony. Your kind seem to thrive on struggle. So you put us in a cage," Lisa said. "Cut us off from the rest of the galaxy. A quarantine." "Yes," Keltar agreed, "for your protection as much as ours. Your species was not ready for the knowledge of other civilizations. But that was millennia ago. Both our peoples have evolved since then." Meanwhile, aboard the Pathfinder, Captain Wright was planning a daring rescue. The ship hovered at the edge of the moon's atmosphere, cloaking systems straining to keep them hidden. "I've located their emergency beacons," Kate Simmons reported from her station. "They're deep underground in a cave system about 12 kilometers from the crash site." "Any Vraxian presence?" Wright asked. "Sensors show activity around the cave entrances, but not inside. They might be shielded." Wright studied the tactical display. "We can't risk landing with all those patrols. We need a distraction." Back on Earth, Dr. Cole and Dr. Martinez had made a breakthrough of their own. After studying the Vraxian transmissions and the data recovered from the Pathfinder's earlier mission, they discovered something remarkable. "Admiral Winters," Dr. Cole said urgently, entering her office without knocking. "We found something you need to see immediately." Winters looked up from her desk, annoyed at the interruption until she saw the expression on Cole's face. "What is it?" Dr. Martinez placed a tablet on her desk. "Genetic markers, comparing Vraxian DNA to human DNA." "And?" Winters prompted. "They match," Cole said simply. "Not completely, but enough to be statistically impossible by chance. Humans and Vraxians share a common ancestor somewhere in our evolutionary past." Winters stared at the data. "That's not possible. They evolved on a planet light years from Earth. Unless one species seeded the other," Martinez suggested. "Those early Vraxian explorers who came to Earth and were hunted by primitive humans, some of them might have stayed, might have integrated with the local population. We're distant. Cousins?" Cole concluded. Related species who took different evolutionary paths. Admiral Winters leaned back in her chair, the implications washing over her. If we can prove this to them, it might change everything, Cole agreed. But we need more evidence, and we need to show them we're not the monsters from their stories. On the moon, Lisa and Daniel were learning more from Keltar's group. The dissident Vraxians had been studying human culture in secret for decades, fascinated by the species they had been taught to fear. Your art, your music, your stories, they show such depth of emotion, Keltar explained. So different from what our children are taught. Your emperor is lying to your people, Lisa said. Many suspect this, Keltar agreed. But fear is a powerful tool, and now that you have broken the quarantine, that fear seems justified. Daniel was examining the ancient records stored in the cave base. According to this, the Vraxians who first visited Earth came as scientists, not conquerors. They wanted to study early humans. Yes, Keltar confirmed. But they underestimated your ancestors' intelligence and hunting abilities. What began as scientific observation ended in tragedy. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the cave complex. One of Keltar's associates rushed in. Imperial forces have found the entrance. They're coming in. Lisa checked her weapon. How many exits do these caves have? 3, Keltar replied. But they will be guarded now. Then we fight, Lisa said, grimly. At that moment, the cave shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling as a distant boom echoed through the passages. What was that? Daniel asked. Lisa smiled. That would be Captain Wright, creating a distraction. The cave shook again as another explosion rocked the surface of the moon. Lisa could hear the sounds of weapons fire echoing through the tunnels. She turned to Keltar urgently. Is there a way to contact our ship? We need to coordinate with Captain. Right. Keltar nodded and led them to a communications array hidden in one of the deeper chambers. This can penetrate the moon's interference. Your captain is creating quite a distraction above. Daniel worked with one of the Vraxian technicians to establish a link to the Pathfinder. After several tense minutes, Captain Wright's voice crackled. Through the speakers. Bennett, Garcia, do you copy? We're here, Captain, Lisa replied. We've made contact with Vraxian dissidents. They're helping us. There was a pause before Wright responded. Friendly Vraxians? That's unexpected. Sir, we have critical information. Daniel cut in. The Emperor is using fear of humans to maintain power. And there's more. These people aren't our enemies. We don't have time for politics right now, Wright answered. Imperial forces are swarming the area. We've created a diversion on the North Ridge, but it won't hold them for long. Can you get to the surface? Keltar pointed to a map of the cave system. There is an emergency exit that leads to a ravine 2 kilometers east of here. It may still be unguarded. We'll head there, Lisa confirmed. But Captain, these people will be executed if they're found helping us. We can't leave them behind. After a moment of silence, Wright responded. How many? 11, Keltar answered. That's pushing our capacity, Wright said. But we'll make it work. Get to the ravine. You have 30 minutes before we lose our window. As they prepared to leave, Keltar gathered critical research data. I must bring this, the Vraxian insisted, evidence of our shared genetic heritage. It may be the only way to convince others. Lisa nodded and handed extra weapons to Keltar's people. Stay close and follow my lead. They moved through narrow passages that wound deeper into the moon, before gradually rising toward the surface. The emergency exit was hidden behind a false wall that slid open when Keltar pressed a specific sequence of stones. Cold air rushed in as they emerged into a narrow ravine. The gas giant loomed enormous in the sky, casting strange shadows across the rocky terrain. In the distance, they could see flashes of light from the battle near the main cave entrance. The extraction point is 1/2 kilometer east, Lisa said, checking her locator. Move quickly, but stay low. They had covered about half the distance when a Vraxian patrol ship appeared overhead, its searchlight sweeping the ravine. Everyone froze, pressing themselves against the rocks. They've spotted us. one of Keltar's people whispered as the light paused near their position. Daniel looked up at the patrol ship, then at the data drive in his hand. We can't let them stop us. This information could end the war before it truly begins. Before anyone could stop him, he darted away from the group, drawing the patrol ship's attention. The searchlight followed him as he zigzagged across open ground. Daniel, Lisa called out, but it was too late. The patrol ship fired, hitting the ground near him. Daniel stumbled but kept running, leading the ship away from the others. Go, he shouted back. Get to the ship. Lisa hesitated, torn between helping Daniel and completing the mission. Keltar touched her arm gently. Your friend understands what is at stake, the Vraxian said. All our peoples do. With a heavy heart, Lisa led the group onward while Daniel continued to draw away the patrol ship. They reached the extraction point just as the Pathfinder descended through the clouds, landing gear extending. The ship's ramp lowered, and Captain Wright appeared, waving them aboard. Hurry! We have more company coming. One by one, the humans and Vraxians boarded the ship. Lisa was the last one, pausing at the ramp to look back for any sign of Daniel. We can't wait, Wright said grimly. More ships are incoming. He sacrificed himself to get us here, Lisa replied, her voice tight with emotion. As the ramp began to close, a figure appeared on the horizon, running at full speed toward them. It was Daniel, his uniform torn and dirty but very much alive. Hold the ramp, Lisa shouted, drawing her weapon and providing cover fire as Daniel sprinted the final distance. He collapsed inside the ship, gasping for breath. Told you. Humans. Never stop coming. The Pathfinder lifted off, accelerating quickly to escape the approaching Vraxian warships. Kate Simmons pushed the engines to their limits, weaving through enemy fire as they climbed out of the moon's atmosphere. FTL drive charging, she reported. 30 seconds to jump capability. Captain Wright turned to Keltar. Your people are committing treason by coming with us. Are you certain about this? The Vraxian nodded. The Emperor's lies must end. We will help you show our people the truth. Just as the Vraxian fleet closed in around them, the Pathfinder jumped to faster-than-light speed, disappearing from Vraxian space. Back on Earth, Admiral Winters faced a difficult decision. With the new information from Dr. Cole and Dr. Martinez, plus whatever data the Pathfinder was bringing back, there might be a diplomatic solution. But the Vraxian attacks on human outposts continued, and military leaders were pushing for a decisive strike. The fleet is ready, General Thompson informed her. We can launch the offensive within 12 hours. Winters stared at the tactical display showing Vraxian fleet movements. Hold the launch order. I want to see what the Pathfinder brings back first. With respect, Admiral, waiting could cost us our advantage, Thompson argued. And attacking could cost us our humanity, Winters replied firmly. If we become the monsters they believe us to be, what exactly are we fighting for? 3 days later, the Pathfinder returned to Earth orbit with its unusual passengers. The information they brought, both the ancient records and Keltar's research, confirmed what Dr. Cole and Dr. Martinez had suspected. Humans and Vraxians shared distant genetic ancestors. In a historic broadcast transmitted on frequencies the Vraxians could intercept, Admiral Winters stood beside Keltar as they addressed both species. Today we speak not as enemies, but as long-lost relatives, Winters began. Our peoples share more than just a history of fear. We share a common origin. Keltar stepped forward. My people have been taught to fear humans as nightmare creatures. Your people know nothing of us at all. Both perspectives are incomplete. The broadcast included images from both cultures, Vraxian children being told bedtime stories about the fearsome humans and human children staring in wonder at the stars. Side by side, the genetic evidence showed the undeniable connection between the species. We offer peace, Winters concluded. Not because we fear war, but because we recognize ourselves in you. For tense days there was no response from the Vraxian Empire. Then a single ship appeared at the edge of the solar system. It was the Imperial flagship, carrying the Emperor himself. The meeting took place on neutral ground, an asteroid at the midpoint between Earth's outermost outpost and the Vraxian quarantine boundary. Admiral Winters and Dr. Cole represented humanity. The Emperor and Keltar represented the Vraxians. For millennia we told stories of your savagery, the Emperor said. It seems we wrote ourselves as the heroes and cast you as the villains. Every species writes its own history that way, Dr. Cole replied. The true story is always more complex. They signed a treaty that day, not just a peace agreement, but a recognition of shared ancestry and a commitment to a shared future. The quarantine would be lifted gradually, with controlled cultural exchange to begin immediately. As night fell across Earth, Vraxian and human children alike looked up at the same stars with new eyes. In bedrooms on both worlds, parents began telling new stories, not of nightmares but of lost cousins finding each other among the stars. The monsters from the bedtime stories had become family, and families, even difficult ones, find a way to come home.